How much did you spend on your lawn last year? Not just the mowing, the watering, the fertilizer, the weed spray, the reseeding in that one spot where it died anyway. Now picture a yard that costs you nothing after the first season. One that stays green through August. One you can walk across barefoot. Before grass lawns existed, the grounds of English castles smelled like green apples. One of these plants forms mats so dense that heavy daily foot traffic barely leaves a trace. One was named after a medical condition that terrified people in the 1400s. And the ground cover that every garden video recommends? It is the wrong one. These are 7 ground covers you can actually walk on. Any one of them can replace the grass you have been fighting. Plant number 1 is microclover. Every ground cover video on YouTube recommends white clover. They are recommending the wrong one. Standard Dutch white clover grows 8 inches tall or more. It produces thick flower heads that attract so many bees you cannot walk through it barefoot in summer. It goes fully dormant in winter, leaving bare soil exposed to rain and erosion. In garden beds, it smothers every plant around it. One long-term gardener documented exactly that. She planted clover with sedum on a hillside, and within a year, the clover had killed the sedum underneath it. Microclover is a specific cultivar called pippolina, bred in Denmark to fix every one of those problems. It stays under 4 inches. It produces roughly 90% fewer flowers. It holds a denser mat through winter. And instead of replacing your grass, it blends into it. If your lawn has bare patches, thinning edges, or that exhausted look by July, this is the fix that works with what you already have instead of tearing it out. Scatter the seed directly into existing grass. No removal, no tilling. A half-pound bag covers 250 to 500 square feet and costs around $20. That same area of lawn costs you hundreds a year in mowing, water, and fertilizer that microclover does not need. It fixes nitrogen from the air directly into your soil. Free fertilizer built into the roots. One honest caveat. Microclover is not a full lawn replacement on its own. It works best as a partner to grass, not a substitute. In cold winters, it goes semi-dormant, though less noticeably than standard clover. Think of it as the first step, not the last. Microclover works with your existing grass. But what if you want to get rid of the grass entirely? The next plant can do that. The problem is, your garden center has been selling it to you wrong. Number 2 on this list is creeping thyme. Garden centers sell this as one plant. It is actually 4, and only one of them belongs in your lawn. The tag says Thymus serpillum, or creeping thyme, and that is where the information ends. But the cultivar you choose changes everything about how it behaves in your yard. Elfin thyme stays under 2 inches and spreads slowly. Beautiful between pavers. Too slow for an open lawn. Red creeping thyme, the coccineus cultivar, blooms magenta from June through August. Showiest flowers of the group. Handles moderate foot traffic but not daily crossings. Pink chintz spreads the fastest. If you need coverage in a single season, this is the one to start with. And then there is woolly thyme. Thymus pseudolanuginosus. Silver green, fuzzy foliage that lies flat instead of mounding. This is the lawn replacement. It handles heavy foot traffic, survives Zone 4 winters down to -25 degrees Fahrenheit, and when you step on it, the air fills with the scent of a kitchen herb garden. If your yard gets full sun at least 6 hours a day, and your soil drains well, woolly thyme is the strongest ground cover on this entire list for actual daily walking. Seeds cost around $10. A tray of plugs costs about $12. And here is where the math gets interesting. One thyme plant divides into 6 or 8 new starts by its second year. A $20 purchase becomes over $100 of coverage if you are willing to do the splitting yourself. The caveat is simple and non-negotiable. Thyme dies in shade. It rots in wet clay. If your soil holds puddles after a hard rain, this is not your plant. Keep watching. If your soil drains well, thyme is hard to beat. But what about the part of your yard that never dries out? There is a plant for that ground, and almost nobody knows about it. That plant is number 3, Mazus. Ask for this at your local nursery and expect a blank look. Most employees have never heard of it. That is a shame, because it solves a problem almost every yard has. If your lawn turns to soft mud after rain, if water collects in that low spot near the downspout, if grass simply rots in the corner that never fully dries, Mazus was made for that ground. Mazus McQuailey is a fast-spreading creeper with bright green leaves and small purple flowers from spring through fall. It thrives in boggy, oversaturated soil where grass surrenders. It handles moderate foot traffic. The National Grower Network ranked it on the Steppable's Tough 10 list for dependable growth and durability. Zones 5 through 8. Part shade to full sun. If you have been using Creeping Jenny in wet areas, Mazus does the same job without the invasion. Creeping Jenny escapes into every bed it touches and never comes back out. Mazus stays where you put it. One thing to know before you order. Mazus is marketed as Zone 5 hardy, but gardeners in Colorado Springs and the Chicago suburbs report winter kills despite that rating. Heavy clay slows it further. If you garden in Zone 5, treat this one as experimental and plant a small test patch before committing to a full area. You will not find Mazus at big box stores. Specialty mail-order nurseries carry it, including the Steppable's Grower Network. Occasionally, independent garden centers in the Pacific Northwest stock a few trays in spring. 3 plants in, and you already have a fix for thin grass, a full lawn replacement for sunny yards, and an answer for that soggy corner where nothing else survives. If you are finding this useful, subscribe so the rest of this list reaches you. And tell me in the comments, what is the one spot in your yard where grass has completely given up? I want to hear what you are working with. The next plant on this list has the strangest name of any ground cover you will ever encounter. And the story behind it goes back 600 years. Coming in at number 4, Rupturewort. The Latin name for this plant, herniaria, comes from the word for hernia. In the 1400s, European herbalists crushed it into poultices and pressed them against abdominal ruptures. The medicine did not work. The plant, it turns out, works beautifully as a lawn. Herniaria glabra forms a mat under 2 inches tall. It handles heavy foot traffic and grows in poor, sandy, gravelly soil that would starve most ground covers. Zones 5 through 9. Full sun to part shade. If your yard is rocky, if your soil is thin and dry, if you have given up trying to grow grass on that strip of compacted gravel next to the driveway, this is the plant that thrives exactly where everything else fails, and it does something no other plant on this list does. In autumn, the foliage shifts from green to bronze red. A lawn that changes color with the seasons without you lifting a finger. Seeds cost $8 to $12 per packet. Plugs run about $3 to $4 each. For faster results, space plugs 6 inches apart. But set your expectations honestly. Rupturewort takes 2 full growing seasons to form a dense mat from seed. The first year will look sparse. The second year fills in completely, and from then on, it holds. Rupturewort earned its name from medieval herbalists. The next plant earned its name from a single woman in Portland, Oregon, who looked down one morning and saw something in her garden that had never existed before. Plant number 5 is brass buttons. The foliage on this plant looks like someone pressed a sheet of green lace flat onto the soil. Tiny, fern-like leaves, half an inch tall. From a distance, it reads as a flawless green carpet. Up close, it is intricate. Leptonella squalida is native to New Zealand. It spreads by runners just under the soil surface and forms mats so dense that heavy daily foot traffic barely thins them out. The kind of use that would destroy most ground covers in a single season, Brass Buttons absorbs without complaint. Zones 4 through 10, sun to part shade. It can be mowed after flowering, which is how you deadhead it. And once established, the density chokes out weeds on its own. If you have a pathway between raised beds, a flagstone patio with gaps, or a side yard that takes daily walking, Brass Buttons handles all of it at half an inch tall. Now the story. In Portland, Oregon, a gardener named Jane Platt noticed a sport emerging in her beds. A mutation. The foliage had turned black bronze with green tips, unlike anything in the species. She propagated it, shared it with local nurseries, and it is now sold worldwide as Platt's Black. A single backyard discovery became a commercial cultivar grown across 4 continents. At about $4 per pot, Brass Buttons costs less than a bag of mulch. And unlike mulch, you never replace it. The honest caveat: Brass Buttons needs loose, well-amended soil to spread well. Hard-packed ground slows it to a crawl. If your planting area is compacted, loosen it before you start. In Zone 4, treat it as semi-evergreen. It returns in spring but will not stay green through a Minnesota February. Brass Buttons traveled from New Zealand to gardens worldwide because of one backyard discovery. The next plant has been under people's feet for 500 years, and it fills the air with the smell of an orchard when you walk across it. That brings us to number 6, chamomile. Centuries before Kentucky bluegrass, the lawns of English estates were chamomile. Not the flowers you steep for tea. The plant itself, spreading low and dense across the grounds of manor houses and castles. Walk across it, and the air fills with the smell of green apples. The name comes from the Greek chamai, meaning ground, and melon, meaning apple. Ground apple, named for exactly what it does when your foot presses into it. Roman chamomile, Chamomile nobile, was the turf of choice across Europe for hundreds of years. But the cultivar you want for a modern lawn is called Treneag. Named after a farm in Cornwall, England, Treneag is a non-flowering dwarf that forms a dense, fragrant evergreen mat. Because it never produces flower stalks, it stays low and tidy. And because it does not flower, it must be grown from divisions. You cannot start it from seed. Zones 4 through 9. Full sun to light dappled shade. Light to moderate foot traffic. Here is where the economics shift. Treneag is the most expensive option on this list. Expect $6 to $8 per pot. For a 200 square foot area, budget $150 to $200 in plants. It is not a $40 fix like microclover, but it is also the only ground cover on this list that fills the air with fragrance every time someone crosses the yard. If you have a smaller lawn area in a mild climate and you want something genuinely extraordinary under your feet, nothing else here comes close. The caveat: chamomile does not tolerate heavy foot traffic, play areas, or dogs running laps. It needs weeding during establishment because it fills in slowly. This is the plant for someone with patience and a vision. Every plant so far needs at least some sun. If you have been watching this and thinking none of it works for your shaded yard, this last one is the reason you stayed. And that last one, number 7, is dwarf mondo grass. If you have tried and failed to grow anything under a mature oak, along a north-facing foundation, or in that dark strip between the garage and the fence, stop fighting it. This is the answer. Ophiopogon japonicus nanus thrives in full shade. It prefers it. Evergreen through every season, virtually pest-free, and it tolerates moderate foot traffic without thinning. Zones 6 through 11. The nanus cultivar stays under 4 inches and spreads slowly by underground stolons, forming tight, dark green tufts that look like thick carpet. For a 200 square foot shaded area, plan on about 200 plugs at 8-inch spacing. At wholesale flat pricing, that runs $80 to $120. Compare that to what you have already spent reseeding shade mix that germinates, struggles for a month, and dies. Mondo grass is slow. Plan on 18 to 24 months for full coverage. But once it fills in, it is done. No mowing, no reseeding, no more losing the same fight every spring. Now step back and look at what these 7 plants actually cost compared to the lawn you are maintaining. The average American homeowner spends $900 to $2,000 a year on lawn care. Mowing runs $30 to $50 per visit, 25 to 30 times a season. Add water, fertilizer, weed treatment, and patching where it fails. Microclover covers 1,000 square feet for about $40. Once. Thyme plugs cost more upfront, but one plant splits into 6 the second year. Rupturewort seeds cost $12 a packet. Brass buttons runs $4 per pot. Even chamomile, the most expensive pick at around $200 for a small patch, pays for itself in a single season of skipped mowing bills. And none of these plants need fertilizer. Most need minimal water once established. All of them tolerate foot traffic. Not one of them requires a mower. Your lawn costs you money every month it is alive. These plants cost you once, and then they work for free. If you are ready to try one, tell me in the comments which ground cover matched your yard and what zone you garden in. I will answer. And if this changed how you think about that lawn, subscribe. There is a lot more where this came from.